Hello. Hi. Hi. Hello. Hi. Hello. Hi. Hello. Hi. Hello. Hi. 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 1, 2.
Still mic 1, 2.
Hi. 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 Text to mic 1, 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, to be on our feet to welcome our guest of honor. You may kindly take your seat. Our distinguished guest of honor, who doubles as our Chief of Staff, Air Vice Marshal Joshua Lati Mensah Lakai, the various representatives of service commanders, commandants, Shadok, commanders of various schools, directors, and head of various professional institutions, very senior officers present, commanding officers, regimental sergeant major, soldiers, our cherished defense civilian staff, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. One step. You are warmly welcome to Engineering Training School, where this morning you are going to witness a short but historic and memorable ceremony where we are going to launch the Engineering Training School Geographic Information System Center. I am Captain Stephen Asare, and I will be the Master of Ceremony for the program. Before we proceed, I will kindly invite the chaplain to dedicate the whole program to the hands of God.
Shall we pray? And our Father, we thank you for a day like this. We thank you that you've made it possible for us to gather to launch this geography information system. We thank you for all you've done for us and for this unit and for this center. We pray that the launch of this system will facilitate our military operations. We pray for all those through whose efforts we have gotten this center. May you bless them and protect them. We implore your presence among us this morning, that whatever is going to happen within the course of this day and within this program in particular, you will be with us and see us through successfully. This is our humble prayer through Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Thank you very much, Chaplain, for that wonderful dedication. At this juncture, I respectfully invite our commanding officer to welcome our guest of honor. Let's welcome him with a round of applause.
Our distinguished guest of honor, Air Vice Marshal Joshua Lati Mensah Lakai, the representatives of the various service commanders, commandants, commanders of the various schools, director generals, directors, head of various professional institutions, senior officers, commanding officers, regimental sergeant majors, soldiers, our cherished defense civilian staff, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am Lieutenant Colonel Ampedu Banasco, the commanding officer of the Engineer Training School. I am humbled this morning to welcome you all to the Engineer Training School on the occasion of the commissioning of a Geographic Information System laboratory for the Ghana Armed Forces. The intent for establishing this laboratory, I know, has been birthed over a decade, whereby past commanding officers, and by this, I pay glowing tribute to the past commanding officers, right from Colonel Riafe, Colonel New, Colonel Apo, and the immediate past commanding officer, Colonel Kote, for the various efforts that they put in making sure that this center is established today. I am indeed filled with gratitude today that this vision that was birthed years back has become a reality, after we have received the necessary support and directions from the Commandant, Training and Doctrine, as well as the Director of the Department of Engineer Services. Sir, past years of experience of the various training institutions of the Ghana Armed Forces, either as a student or as an instructor, have revealed that the service relies on 1974 topographical maps that are produced by the Ghana Survey Department for training purposes. Unfortunately, these outdated maps do not help in achieving the set training objectives. This challenge was brought to the attention of our current Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General William Ejapon, during his familiarization visit to the Ghana Military Academy. Again, it has also been observed that most of the maps, if not all, in our operation rooms are produced by civilian organizations who do not have the requisite military training or knowledge to be able to produce intelligence maps for our purposes. Similarly, when personnel are deploying for peacekeeping missions, we equally also rely on civil institutions to produce maps for our use. Then lastly, it has been realized that for the past 3 years, the Ghana Armed Forces has been receiving correspondence from the Geographic Department of the University of Ghana, calling for personnel to participate in a 1-week training on Geographic Information System at a fee. These observed challenges underpin the desire in establishing this laboratory today for the Ghana Armed Forces. It is refreshing to know that the school was able to achieve this feat, having received the requisite support and directions from the Commandant, Training and Doctrine, as well as the Directorate of Engineer Services. Our guests of honor, the school, having received the support from the Commandant, was able to acquire a workstation. We also installed a local area network and to be able to provide internet service to the laboratory. Thereafter, we have our colleagues from the German Armed Forces Technical Advisory Group donating some few computers to support the establishment of the laboratory. Upon the completion, we contacted Ghana Geospatial Society and Geospatial to work with the assistance of these institutions that ESRI, US, agreed to give a 1-year license to the school. As part of the activities for this day, this institution will be making some presentations on Geographic Information System related topics. With the support of the Geographic Information System, we have equally updated and exhibited some of our old maps in the laboratory, which we are going to after the commissioning. Honor, the commissioning system, commissioning will serve three purposes. First, the laboratory service personnel, sister security services, and the general public who are interested in learning geographic information system. Now, that's a fee because after the expiration of the one-year license, it will be the responsibility of the school to renew the license. Personnel who receive this training can be able to function effectively at their respective units' operational rooms, the general headquarters, defense intelligence, and even in various civilian establishments that uses geographic information system when on retirement. Secondly, the laboratory will be able to print GPS updated maps. These maps could be used by various training institutions in training service personnel, as well as also being able to use as a briefing center for our personnel embarking peacekeeping operations. Lastly, it is also going to serve as a laboratory, a research laboratory, where personnel can undertake research in various geographic information system related products that will benefit the service. Our guest of honor, notwithstanding the Air Force, always the establishment, the bigger picture for the service is for us to employ geographic information system to our operations as the operational environment remains fluid due to employment of technology. In the future, the school is looking at expanding its carrying capacity from 15 to about 50. Equally, can receive a week or 2 weeks training, which can also help them appreciate the terrain and also the environment that they will be operating in the future. The school also needs some drones to gather data for updating of the maps and most especially for our training areas. The school also look forward of expanding the role of geographic information system with the integration of artificial intelligence and predictive analytics on manned systems and real-time census feeds, digital twins of operational environments, and cyber physical security applications. The vision is to position the Ghana Armed Forces as a regional leader in military intelligence capable of leveraging special technologies to safeguard national sovereignty and contribute meaningfully to regional and global peace. In conclusion, I would like to acknowledge the support received from various commands and institutions in making this dream a reality. Aside acknowledging the past commanding officers, the school is also grateful to the Commandant, Training and Doctrine Command for his visionary leadership, support, and guidance he gave towards the establishment of this laboratory. The school also appreciates the Director, Department of Engineer Services, for the support that the technical support that he gave to the school towards the establishment. The school also extends special commendation to the President of Ghana Geographic Society, who guided us during the setting up of the laboratory and the Geographic Information System Office, as well as bringing on board Aku Geospatial. I also express our profound gratitude to Aku Geospatial, who liaised with Esri US in getting us a 1-year free access to use their software. We also extend our appreciation to the German Armed Forces Technical Advisory Group for the support that they also gave to us towards the establishment. I would also like to acknowledge the support that we receive from farm sponsors who help us making this day a reality. These sponsors include CSS Precise System Limited, Quest Consolidated Limited, Geotech System Limited, Leka Geospatial, Geosystem, Sambus Geospatial Limited, and CAD Consult. We are indeed grateful for your support. On this note, I wish to warmly welcome you all once again to our midst this morning, and we hope that you will enjoy your brief stay here in the Engineer Training School. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Commandant Officer, for that wonderful delivery. At this juncture, I'll call on the media to give us a short musical interlude to relax ourselves before we continue the program. DJ, give us something to relax ourselves. Thank you very much. DJ, thank you very much. At this juncture, let me take this opportunity to introduce important personalities in our midst. I will kindly start with our distinguished guest of honor, Air Vice Marshal Joshua Latte Mensah Lakai, who is our Chief of Staff. Let's give it a round of applause. We also have in our midst Rear Admiral Maxwell Ahin, who is a Commandant Headquarters Stradog. Thank you very much. We also have Brigadier General John Kwajo Ampadu, Assistant Commandant, Headquarters Stradog, in charge of research and doctrine. We have Air Commodore Jevas Rihanna, Assistant Commandant, Tri-Service Unit, HQ Stradog. We have Air Commodore E.K. Jemfi, Deputy Commandant for Stradog. We have Brigadier General Bevlo, Director General Training. We have Brigadier General Amano Joshua, Headquarters Army Training Command. We have Colonel Jonas Wiafi, Directorate of Engineering Services. Let's welcome him. You also have Colonel Maxwell Apo, Director Lands. We have Colonel Michael Infum, Chief Coordinating Officer, 14th Brigade. We have Lieutenant Colonel Emmanuel Ebenezer Arthur, our chaplain Stradog. We have Colonel Gabriel Mauli Abuado, Chief G7 Training Army HQ. We have Colonel Raymond Corte, Director Installation, General Headquarters, Logistics. You also have Lieutenant Colonel Amanfo, Commanding Officer, 51 Engineer Regiment. We have Lieutenant Colonel Frank Osei Amponsa, Commanding Officer, 48th Engineer Regiment. We also have various sponsors and other civil representatives that enhance the organization of this program. We have Synergy Multimedia, represented by Daniel Mensah. We have Jeffrey Jan, Super Map Software, a Chinese. We have Marion Techi Mensah, Akujo Special. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a tall list of personalities here present, and all are duly acknowledged. Respectfully, permit me to continue the program by inviting our commanding officer to introduce our guest of honor. Let's welcome him with a round of applause.
I humbly stand in front of you once again to introduce our guest of honor. Air Vice Marshal Joshua Latte Mensah Lakai is a dynamic senior officer with over 3 decades of military experience in command, peacekeeping, and operations. He is equipped with extensive knowledge in leadership, international security, and strategy, with strong academic credentials. Born in Accra, in the Greater Accra region, our guest of honor attended Accra Academy Secondary School for his general certificate of education at the ordinary and the advanced levels. He was subsequently enlisted into the Ghana Military Academy in 1991 and got commissioned as an air crew, which we would say a pilot, into the Air Force in 1992. He has attended an array of career courses that has equipped him to undertake his professional military duties. The career courses Air Vice Marshal Mensah Lakai has attended include Flight Commanders course here in Accra, Junior Staff course in Nigeria, and the Senior Staff course in the United States of America. Our guest of honor, this is Defense College course at the Royal College of Defense Studies in the United Kingdom, where he was decorated with the Armed Forces Communications and Electronics Association Award, a prize for being the top student in strategic leadership. He is the first African to have received this award. He also attended the commercial pilot license course at Sarah Academy of Aeronautics in United States of America, MI-17 certificate course in Russia, night vision goggles course, and the ground instructors course, all at the Royal Air Force, one in Strasbourg, while the other one is in Cranwell, or in the United Kingdom. Since commissioning into the service, Air Vice Marshal Mensah Lakai has held various appointments. These appointments include Adjutant, Air Force Base Accra, Flight Commander and Wing Commander, Number 3 Helicopter Wing, Air Force Base Accra, and Director, Validation, Standardization, and Inspection at the Air Force Headquarters. Between 2020 and 2022, our guest of honor served as the commander, as the base commander at the Air Force Base in Accra, and later served in the same capacity at the Air Force Base in Tamale from 2022 to 2025. It was in 2025 that he was appointed as the Chief of Staff of the Ghana Armed Forces at the General Headquarters. Air Vice Marshal Mensa Lakai has contributed to world peace, having served under various United Nations peacekeeping missions. He served as operations officer with Ghana Aviation Unit, United Nations operations in Cote d'Ivoire from 2007 to 2008. Between 2009 and 2010, Air Vice Marshal Mensa Lakai also served as Deputy Commanding Officer, as well as an operations officer with the Ghana Aviation Unit at the United Nations operations in Cote d'Ivoire from September 2012. Okay. From September 2012 and March 2013, he also served as the commander of the Ghana Aviation United Nations operations in Cote d'Ivoire. And again, in the same, from 2013 to 2016, he also served as a base commander for the same Ghana Aviation Unit that was operating in the United Nations operation in Cote d'Ivoire. It is on record that he is the longest serving commander of a Ghana unit that is operating in the United Nations. He has also served with the United Nations mission in Liberia as a military observer. In addition to the medals that he earned on these United Nations missions, our guest of honor is decorated with the Long Service and Efficiency Award. It will interest you to know that our guest of honor in 2017 was the parade commander for the 60th Independence Anniversary celebration. Air Vice Marshal Mensa Lakai has pursued a number of civil qualifications in addition to his military career courses. These qualifications include Masters in Military Operational Art and Science from Air University of Montgomery in the United States of America, and Masters in International Security and Strategy from King's College in the United Kingdom. He also holds a postgraduate diploma and a Bachelor of Arts in Public Administration from the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, or here in Ghana. He is currently a member of the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management. Our guest of honor, Air Vice Marshal Mensa Lakai, is married to Mrs. Patricia Jifa Mensa Lakai, and the union is blessed with 2 daughters. In his pastime, he loves reading, as well as playing soccer, tennis, and golf. Thank you.
Thank you very much for a brilliant and insightful introduction. I will at this juncture invite the president of Ghana Geospatial Association to give us a presentation. Sir, you are welcome, and the whole floor is for you.
Good morning. I'm getting my computer ready, so As I'm getting it ready, I'll be presenting on the theme building a GIS-enabled military force. And the focus will be on training, innovation, and future capabilities. So I think Colonel Banasco started by speaking on some of the things I'll be touching on. They touch on the maps that have been used over the years. That is 1974 days. From behind, you could see it better. But then, sir, you not see much of it. That is the map that he was talking about that has been used. And you could see that most of the assets of the military are actually located on this map. If the military has to plan or do anything, it uses this map. When trainings are to be undertaken by the new recruits or any other person in the military, they use a map, and the scale is 1 in 50,000. That tells you what details you can actually see on the ground. We in the civilian area engineers will say it's more like Ghana at a glance. You can't really see anything in this. You can't do much with this. The licensed surveyor president is here as well. He will tell you you need data 1 in 2,500. You can see the difference in scale. You not see much. You can't do much analysis in that kind of map that we are using. Now, the slides that I'll be using now, the people on it are actually, if they resemble anybody, they are not them. So a little disclaimer, these are generated by artificial intelligence so that we can actually interact. Now, you are thinking of a military force that will move away from this kind of paper-based map, not 1 in 50,000. Something that will be actually real life for us to see. So, why does GIS matter to modern military operations? You could see that when I'm putting myself in the shoes of the military, so I can say we for now. After today, I'm not part of you. So when we are recruited, our training starts with maps. And everything that we will do afterwards would then be dealing with where is this? Where would this happen? Before you can answer the question, why would this happen at any point in time? And all of these have to be doing with maps. And rightly so, every new person is trained with maps. You are given the 1 in 50,000 and you're asked to navigate from one place to another to be able to find your way. You may be able to find your way or you may be lost along the way. But then if you look at the security environment and what faces us, you can see that this probably will not be able to help us deal with most of it. So how do we transition into an environment that can help us deal with various threats, those that are happening from our boundaries. That's the national boundaries, regional boundaries, the disasters that hit us, because we see the military coming in to help us in dealing with disaster issues as well. And you need to deal with data. Along the way, we've been discussing as the professional body, and we're thinking, so if we are sent outside to train, are we able to assess everything that we are going to be trained on? We analyzed and said, okay, the military might be at a disadvantage. One, there is data protection. There is information security. And then there'll be technology protection as well. So if you send someone outside the country to be trained, what would they be allowed them to see? Would they allow you to see the data that they are using there, or the new technology that has come up? Most likely, we think our people, my colleagues who are in the military, might be lacking in this area. So we are thinking now, if we come with this training center here, we should be able to get our people trained. And once you are trained, you have the kind of data that you can analyze, something that is quite close to you. We should get our own technology gradually. And then we get used to the terrain and how to deal with these threats that face us on daily basis. Because if we watch the news a lot, we study things that happen. We look at Boku, we see how the neighbors jump in, and then we see the news saying there are some people who came in with guns, came in with these weapons, and you see that they moved on land. They moved actually to some particular place. How would you be able to analyze this in a very fast and rapid way to then make a decision? So that if I am deploying a troop there, what do I see? Do I need to send them there before I know what is happening? Or I have the data with me? That is what we are expecting Colonel Banasco's training center. I want to call it Colonel Banasco's training center for today. So what we are expecting the GIS training center to be able to bring out, we should be able to have that data and then train the minds of the people to do that. So this, we are expecting to train not just the hands and then the feet, but it's more of what we call the spatial thinking based on location. And we will be expecting to, one, right now we are institutionalizing the training center. That is a very good point to go. We would now have to move ahead and develop the spatial intelligence. So we should think within location and then be able to analyze various situations that would arise and solve those problems. But that one will need a lot of our training there for us to bring our people to that level, for them to appreciate that when this happened, do this. When that happened, do this. But then right now, we see probably we may not be there yet. Now, if we would want to deal with these trainings and how we would bring that training into reality, Kendall said operationalize whatever we would have done. So we will see that you might be integrating it into mission planning. You'd have to set and plan. As he said, if you are sending people on peacekeeping mission, we invite them here probably and have trainings for them. If you are sending them out to other regions to deal with issues, we would have to actually have some training for them and get data for them to go out there, then to act based on those information that we're giving them. We may have to also send people there to do surveillance, where he mentioned drones. So you might be sending people to actually look and come and report on paper. But now we have technology, you send a drone. The drone takes that particular data, it comes, you process it, and get the information you want to take a particular action. Then you can say that this action I've taken right now is based on the data close to real time that I've collected. The person taking that decision might not have visited there physically, but has collected that data. That would be more of the surveillance and the reconnaissance that would have put together within the GIS to do that. Then we did speak about the peacekeeping, but then there's another area, the disaster, where we usually hear of NADMO every time. When there are floods, would we have analyzed the extent where the flood would have occurred and which people would have been affected, so that when we are deploying our force to go and assist those people, you know exactly where you are sending them to. But then for them to do that, the person sending must be able to speak location language. The person going to actually take the action on the ground should be able to use the data that is given and then be able to act. And whilst it's acting, probably sending information in real time to you in the office for you to know whatever is happening. That applies equally to the peacekeeping operation that Kendall did mention on. And then to do this, you see, we would have to develop our innovation and indigenous capability. So something that will be unique to our environment. We have actually started that. We are getting our syllabus together. But beyond that, we would need to look at the areas of research. I'm very happy you touched on that. Once you touch on research, you are looking at new ways that you be doing things, and then the artificial intelligence, bringing them in. Because some data, you might have to get it out very fast to take a decision. That's where you bring in the artificial intelligence, the drones, the sensors that will be sending information real time for us to be able to act on any time that would be needed. For us to be able to get solutions for our local terrain. How to get this done, you see, as one institution, we may not be able to do this. So we may then need to have various levels of collaboration. One, to be able to have research. Already the universities are undertaking research. So why can't we partner them? We partner them, they may come in. If it's specialized research that I don't want them to keep the data, they could help you do it without publishing. So you could have all these frameworks developed. And then we, the professional bodies, are also there. So we would help in the training. That's those who come to the center to learn. But after they've graduated, we will still come and be assisting you in training them. That's a continuous professional development. So you would need to be abreast with new technologies so that you are not left out, because a lot of things change very, very, very fast. And once you delay a little bit, technology will go way ahead of you. Then we may then need to have various workshops and conferences where we would invite sister institutions within the intelligence agency, maybe also those within West African region, and share notes and ideas so that we know how best we can improve upon. Because once you're having this, you see where your neighbor is going very fast and the areas that you would have to put in to develop. So our future, if you look at the future for the military, yes, we are expecting that we have enhanced security. That's the borders, in all our borders. That is if we move very fast, get ourselves trained in the GIS area, and then implement it. We should be able to enhance our border security. Then we should be able to have an advanced maritime awareness as well, because a lot of things happen there. Drones can equally go there. Other technologies could go there. You could have the bathymetry survey. So there are some unmanned devices that you can just send onto the water. It picks data, bring to you, you analyze and see even what is happening under the water for you to take a lot of decisions on. And then you could then be able to be updating the critical infrastructure. You saw the 1 in 50,000 map. I'm sure your critical infrastructure is on that. And most likely, it will be difficult to find most of them. But as we train you, we are expecting that yes, the training will end up in us having a department set up for the military. And then these will be collecting data for us to be able to map our critical infrastructure and get ourselves prepared. That will let us have stronger national resilience and be able to be prepared for anything that will happen. But with this, we see that we don't have much data. So we would have to start talking about how we share data. And this will be more on collaboration. Various interagencies should be able to assist the military to have some data, to be able to get started. And then this might help us to have a sustained peacekeeping and regional security. So we as Ghana Geospatial Society, yes, we are pledging that, yes, we would assist in the professional standard and capacity building for us to get this started. We have already started with the collaboration to develop the curriculum and then technical support for all of this. We would work and get the accreditation for that, for us to have it excellently done. And we hope to have long-term partnerships for us to get the aim that we are expecting. So we would then look at the vision for the future. So we expect to have the geospatial to as the intelligence, the foresight, and then operational power of the military, which will prepare us for tomorrow's threats and will make us a smarter, more resilient Ghana Armed Forces. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll continue with the various presentation. We have another one which is online and it will be projected soon. But before that, let us enjoy this video as they prepare to start the online presentation.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, sirs, gentlemen, moms. Are you able to hear me? Excellent. That's good. For feedback, when we complete this presentation, if there are any questions and so forth, we can potentially do that by somebody close to the microphone repeating the questions so we can hear them here. But Richmond, are you with us? Can we proceed? Okay, excellent. I can't really hear you, Richmond. Richmond, maybe is your microphone turned off?
Yeah, hello, Kyle.
Hi, I hear you now. Thank you.
Right, please. All right, please go ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think Jack's internet just dropped. Uh-huh. All right. If he's able to join. It seems that Jack has a connectivity issue. We will try and get him online as soon as possible. There he is, joining us again. There we go. Jack, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm back. The office internet just decided to turn off at the critical moment.
Oh, right. Okay. We'll see if it comes back once I'm done with the first few slides here. Again, as I said, good morning, gentlemen, moms, and sirs. It's a privilege and a pleasure for myself and Jack to join this seminar with you today. We have, I believe, short of about 60 minutes. We've prepared a presentation and some demos. Of course, provided that the internet connectivity for Jack works, for the next roughly 45 minutes, which would leave some time for discussion and Q&A. It might also take a little bit more than 45 minutes, but thank you so much for inviting us. And without further ado, let me just jump into the presentation here. So this is kind of the rough agenda that we'd like to go over today. Of course, introducing ourselves in Esri for those of you that might not know Esri intimately, and talk about Esri and ArcGIS and how it really supports and enables the entire defense enterprise in various different ways. We're not going to, of course, touch upon all the ways that we can support you, but we will try and highlight the key use cases that we believe are the sort of low-hanging fruit and that you would be able to quite quickly enable and use as a kind of a force multiplier for the entire of the Ghana Armed Forces. And then we'll dive into some more specifics, pattern of life analysis and link analysis, using all sorts to do intelligence preparation of the battlefield and some demos, which I'll leave to Jack. Briefly, quickly about myself, my name is Carl Beck. I'm a business development executive. I'm currently sitting in Dubai. We have Esri's regional office here in Dubai where we cover Middle East and Africa. And essentially what that means is that we support our partners and distributors throughout the region from this office in Dubai. We also have a regional office in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. And between those two, we are able to really liaise and be kind of the reach back facility or capability for our partners and distributors throughout the region. My background, I'm an Army major. I'm currently a reservist, which means I'm attached to the Special Operations Command in the J2 section, the Intel section in Denmark. My previous roles there were as a Syria instructor and a military linguist in Russian. I've been with the Danish Armed Forces for about 24 years now. But my day job is obviously here with Esri. So this is kind of just something I do on the side in my free time. Before this, I've been with Esri here in Dubai for about 6 years now. I used to work with Esri's distributorship in Denmark, a company called GeoInfo, and I was supporting the Danish armed forces in that capacity. So I have a very clear experience and memory of what that was like. That's very similar to what Acu, Geospatial, and Sambos are doing in Ghana at the moment. And before that, I have a background from finance. In fact, in a hedge fund, I was doing trading and product management and that sort of thing. Yes, so I live here in Dubai with my family and 3 kids, my wife and 3 kids, but I'm originally from Denmark. If you see that map there, there's a tiny little dot in the middle of the Baltic Ocean, or the Baltic Sea, called Bornholm. That's where I used to live before I moved here. Right, Jack, do you want to say a few words about yourself?
Hi, yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Jack Eads. So I support Carl from a technical perspective. I'm also ex-military. I was with the British Army for 8-9 years and left in 2014. It's great to speak to you today. I'm very much of the ethos of stand up, speak up, shut up, as formerly military. So we'll try and get as much in as we can for the next 40 minutes. Thanks.
Excellent. Thanks, Jack. Now, for those of you that don't maybe know so much about Esri, Esri, we pride ourselves in being the premier global leader in geospatial software and technology. So we obviously build the world's leading GIS technology called ArcGIS. The software, we deliver that both as software to install on your desktop or laptop computer, as well as on your servers in the form of what we call ArcGIS Enterprise, as well as we have our cloud-based SaaS offering called ArcGIS Online, as well as platform as a service for those that want to develop even further on the ArcGIS ecosystem. In addition to the software, we also support our users. We have a vast user community where people can share tips, tricks, and ideas, troubleshoot, etc. And we do a lot of training and education globally. Some of the training and education we do via our online courses. Some of those are actually free for anyone that has a license to ArcGIS, and some of them are paid instructor-led courses. We do those globally, but mostly, I would say primarily in the US. And then, of course, via our distributor network, we do local instructor-led trainings as well. In addition to that, we deliver support. It's partly delivered through our distributorships. In Ghana, that would be Sambos, but we also deliver premium support straight out of our office here in Dubai and elsewhere. And then, of course, we do professional services. So we actually do help and deploy solutions for our customers and clients around the world. In addition to that, we have a vast network of partners, Geospatial, of course, being a premier one for us in Ghana. And these are really what enable us to deliver at scale, right? Because we are only so big as a company, and we only have so many resources that we can deploy and build with. So that is why we really rely on our partner network and our distributorships to get out there. So we try and promote and advance spatial literacy in as many sectors as possibly, but of course the government sector and the national security and defense sector is a very big sector for us. Globally speaking, we support millions of users daily around the world. We have hundreds of thousands of organizations that use our software. We are being used as kind of the backbone for anything geospatial in about 160 different countries globally. So we are really the biggest software company that nobody's ever heard of, because we work with so many governments and large-scale organizations. But that is the primary audience that we have. Not a lot of people or regular consumers, I should say, use ArcGIS. So that's why when we talk to governments and big organizations, they know a lot about us. But when you meet regular people on the street, they might not know so much about Esri. We work with nonprofit and we work with utility companies. So really a whole range of different types of organizations. But of course, today, what is most important for us is what do we do within defense? And I've put a number of logos up here on the screen for you to see. Of course, one of our biggest ones in the US is the National Geospatial Agency, which is kind of the key custodian, I would say, of the geospatial enterprises within most of the agencies and organizations with 3 letters in the US. So all the logos you see there, CIA, FBI, NGA, and so forth, they all rely on ArcGIS as a key enterprise solution and software that really runs and fuels the entirety of their organization. So it's really become a very, very key component of how they run their business and organization. And it's not just some fancy little trick on the side. It's actually very, very important for them to have this up and running. Same goes for the Ministry of Defense in the UK, the Defense Intelligence Organization in the UK as well. We are a key component of NATO's overall, let's say, software stack, in that all of their core GIS services are actually run in ArcGIS. And the map that you see there in the bottom right is a map showing NATO countries, in this case in Europe. The ones in green are countries that in fact have entered into what we call an enterprise agreement with ESRI. And what that means is that they essentially have an agreement with ESRI to have full access to our entire stack of software at a fixed budget price per year. And what this means is that they are able to be more flexible in terms of deploying the software and testing out the software. And they don't rely on ad hoc processes to acquire software whenever they need it. They can basically just take it off the shelf, use it, test it out. If it works, that's great. If it doesn't, they can just put it back on the shelf. And it allows for easy budgeting. And what it also allows, and I think why so many of these organizations rely on ArcGIS for anything geospatial, is because it is interoperable. In other words, they can share and collaborate data between themselves, but obviously, of course, also with NATO, because NATO's core GIS enterprise is also based on ArcGIS. So having the same software really makes things a lot more interoperable and easy to work with. The countries that you see there in orange are also heavy users of ArcGIS, but they don't currently have what we call an enterprise agreement, which means they actually go out ad hoc and acquire software as they need it. And gradually, more and more are transitioning toward these enterprise agreements, because it just makes things, especially in the acquisition process, a lot more simple. And it also, frankly speaking, reduces dramatically the unit cost of the software, because you get one price and then essentially a free use of the software. I'm sure you all know a lot about GIS, but just to put it in the context of defense, what is a GIS? I like to compare it to the ODA or the intelligence cycle. And we really view a GIS as a comprehensive system for managing and applying information. It's not just a little system that sits in a corner and only looks at geospatial information. We actually view it as a holistic framework and process for getting the measurements of the world and understanding the world and then responding to that world. So that's the whole, that's why I compare it to the Intel cycle, is because it actually maps very well out to the Intel cycle, where you task your assets, you plan and you give them direction, and then you send them out in the world and you collect that information, you collect that data. Those are what we would call the measurements. And then when you get data back, you process the information. This is typically what we refer to as exploitation, or you clean the data, if you would. And then you exploit it and you create your information products and exploit the data to make sense of it. And based on that, you can then make your decisions, right? And when you've made your decisions, you can then complete the cycle, right? So after you exploit the data, you share that information product with the people that need it. That could be the leadership, or it could be the teams on the ground. They can do what they need to do, and then you repeat the cycle. So that is really very comparable to the intelligence life cycle. The way we look at a GIS, or a geospatial information system, we really actually look at it, conceptually speaking, as kind of three systems in one. Of course, it's one system, but you could think of it as three different kinds of system, because it is both a system of record. In other words, it is a place where you store and manage and keep all that data that you collect from various sources. But it is also a system of insight, because you can work with the information and data and you can analyze it and you can create information products out of it, and you can exploit the data and you can make decisions out of that, because it is also a system of engagement, right? So it is a system that allows you to create applications and maps, interactive applications, interactive maps that really allow your people at the level that they are to make the proper decisions based on the proper information. And in the world of defense and intelligence, we always have this mantra that we say we like to fight off of the same map, right? And that makes a lot of sense because if we're using different maps, if someone is using an old map from the 50s and another one is using a map from 2010, then obviously those are going to be different. And that obviously means that decisions are not going to be optimized for reality, right? So we kind of need to be working off of the same view of reality, if you will. That's what I mean by the same map. But this is, of course, not to say that every person in the entire defense organization should necessarily be looking at the same information product and should not necessarily be looking at the same map extent or cutout of the map, or should necessarily be looking at the same layers on the map even, right? So depending on the use case, depending on the user, depending on what you want to achieve, you will kind of fit the information product to those needs. But the key point here is that when I talk about fighting off of the same map, what I mean really is that the base authoritative data that goes into building these kinds of information products, that needs to be the same. So we need to agree or have a common understanding of where things are located, for example. If we don't, then that's going to create issues down the road. So let's talk about the system of record. You can really integrate all your intelligence disciplines into ArcGIS. And what I mean is that you can have data sitting in so many different kinds of formats, and you can have it collected in so very different kinds of disciplines. You can get some imagery from your image department. You could have vector data from your GeoInt department. So these different disciplines I've listed there in the bottom really just shows that ArcGIS is not just a location system. It's really a holistic data fusion enterprise platform that you can use to leverage all the different kinds of data that you have access to, or could even acquire from third-party providers to create information products that you can then use and exploit. So these are the kinds of insights that you could get out of it, or information products that you could get out of it. And depending on the person, they would access and interface with ArcGIS in various different ways. Some analysts might be accessing the enterprise ArcGIS via a desktop application, which we call ArcGIS Pro, or AllSource. ArcGIS AllSource is another example of a desktop application. But they could also be accessing it via web maps, or even notebook scripting, or mobile applications. So there's various different types of user experiences and interfaces that allow people to access those rich capabilities that are built in. So that could be modeling, it could be working with 3D, it could be working with AI, machine learning, it could be working with network analysis or link analysis. All of this to create those compelling information products that you see there on the side. It could be interactive charts, or it could be graph analytics, or it could be like 3D voxel space-time cubes, or even point clouds. There's so many different kinds of information products that can be created, and the important bit here is to try and tailor those to the needs of the audience and the people that are going to need them. And that's what we look at here when we look at the kind of the third aspect of this, the third type of system, conceptually speaking. It is the system of engagement, right? So this is really what allows you to make sense of the data, is by creating information products that make sense and are tailored to the use that they have. And that could be anything from COPs, common operational pictures, in the form of a dashboard, like what you see there on the left. It could be in the form of briefing presentations, in the form of what you see in the center there. That's something we call story maps. And it could be in the form of applications that you have deployed on your staff's mobile phones. That could be applications that will enable them to collect data, for example, in the field. And I think sometimes we forget how powerful it can be to just present data on a map. An example I like is the one on the bottom left there, where you see the dark dashboard with the red dots on it. Maybe you've seen that one before, but this is in fact the dashboard that was created by Johns Hopkins University by a young PhD that just thought, hey, all this data that we are collecting globally on cases of COVID-19. Why don't we collect all the data we can and stick it on a map and give some people some timelines showing how this disease is spreading? And this is a simple idea, but it's actually a very powerful tool, because this simple dashboard became viral within a few days and globally had trillions of hits. And to this day, probably is the most viewed dashboard that, if not Esri has ever collaborated on, but at least globally speaking, one of the most viewed web pages in history, right? Because it's a simple idea, but it enabled and unlocked a lot of understanding, because a lot of people, most people, I would say, are visual learners. And when they see stuff like this data on a map represented with timelines and charts, it just makes a lot more sense, and they can make their decisions based on that. So the system of engagement is just the idea that based off of the data that you keep in your system of record and that you analyze in the system of insight, this allows you to create information products and present those to the leadership, to the people in the field, to the headquarters, and so forth. Now, moving on here and looking at how does this apply to the defense enterprise. I'd like to point out that for many and most defense enterprises, there are few core requirements, and I believe those apply in most of the cases I've seen so far. Most defense enterprises, they have a clear need to be able to connect the headquarters with the people that are deployed in the field, either in low bandwidth environment or entirely disconnected.
Thank you very much, Exri, for giving us insights of the capacity of your software. I really appreciate for that.
Yes, of course. We were about to go into the demo section, but I don't know if time is short, if we should, if you want us to continue with that.
Hello, Carl.
Hello.
Yes. All right. So we could have the demo after the guest of honest speaks, if that's fine.
What time? I mean, how much time do we have allocated left for our presentation and demo?
Yeah. Hello, Carl.
Hello.
We will make time for another presentation, so kindly hold it for now for us to continue on the rest of the program. Thank you very much. We sincerely apologize for your long awaiting for the continuation of the program. At this juncture, invite our guest of honor to give his remarks. Let's welcome him with a round of applause.
And sit down. Thank you. Good morning to all of us. The Commandant, Training and Doctrine Command, my next door and my senior brother, Admiral Masu Alahin, the Deputy Commandant of Shadok, distinguished generals, senior officers, Command Sergeant Major, Regimental Sergeant Major, and soldiers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning once again. Before I start my thoughts, remarks, looking at this innovation and technology makes me very, very happy. When I started flying in 1993, I did that in the US. We're using some of these technology, which was then being used in some countries, but not in this part of our world. When we came back to Ghana, I fly helicopters. Our helicopter, they didn't have GPS inside. when we fly to the nearest village, we land on a school field and we ask that, are we in the right town? But today doesn't happen. Today, you just believe in your GPS, and your satellites, and it will take you right to the place you are going. So that's how far technology has come. Then let's clap for all those who invented those technologies. So I'm honored to be part of this historic occasion, marking the commissioning of the Geographic Information System Training Center at the Engineers Training School. This event represents not merely the opening of a facility, but also a decisive step in transforming our military into a data-driven, intelligence-led, and technological empowered force. In the evolving character of warfare and security operations, geography has not changed, but how we understand, analyze, and exploit it has. Today's battlefield extends beyond physical terrain into the domains of information, cyberspace, and decision superiority. In this environment, geointelligence, enabled by Geographic Information Systems, GIS, has become a critical force multiplier. Modern defense is no longer defined solely by firepower or troop strength. It is characterized by situational awareness, speed of decision-making, and precision of action. Geointelligence enables commanders to integrate location-based data from multiple sources, satellites, UAVs, sensors, reconnaissance patrols, and open source intelligence into a coherent operational picture. With Geographic Information Systems, commanders can visualize the operational environment in real time, analyze terrain, infrastructure, population distribution, and logistics corridors, anticipate threats and vulnerabilities, plan and execute missions with greater accuracy and reduce risks. Like I said, those days we used to land and ask where the villages are, so you can imagine how you can locate your enemies. Ghana's strategic location, regional responsibilities, and commitment to peace support operations demand a military that is proactive rather than reactive. Our operational responsibilities include border security and transnational crime, maritime domain awareness in the Gulf of Guinea, counter-terrorism and asymmetric threats, disaster response and humanitarian assistance, peacekeeping and multinational operations. Each of these missions is inherently special. The ability to understand where events occur, what relates to terrain and human activities, and what their implications are, is central to mission success. Geographic Information System, therefore, is not an optional capability, but a necessary tool for military operations. Command, therefore, places premium on this event, considering its impact that it will have on the Ghana Armed Forces operations. The commissioning of this GIS training center and department signifies our institutional commitment to embedding geointelligence at all levels of military operations. This is strategic, operational, and tactical. This center will build a cadre of GIS competent officers and soldiers across all services, support mission planning, intelligence analysis, and operational decision making. A lot of these systems, we watch it in latest movies, in series like 24 Hours, etc. But now, have it live in the Ghana Armed Forces. And I think the school deserves a round of applause for this, their initiative. Additionally, it will promote interoperability with sister security agencies and regional partners, foster research, innovation, and indigenous solutions tailored to Ghana's security needs. Importantly, it will ensure that GIS is not confined to specialists alone, but become a shared language of command and control within the Ghana Armed Forces. Technology without doctrine and training is ineffective. This center will therefore serve as a hub for structured GIS training programs, integration of geointelligence into military doctrine, mission rehearsal, and after-mission analysis. In today's security landscape, collaboration and data sharing are indispensable. The center will also enhance interoperability not only among the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force, but with national institutions, academia, and international partners. These are what I can say is that the armed forces will also come. And you being the leaders, we are expecting a lot from you. And Commandant Ayuko, for your efforts. He deserves a round of applause. Finally, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the commissioning of this GIS training center is a bold statement of intent. It affirms that the Ghana Armed Forces is embracing innovation, investing in knowledge, and preparing decisively for the security challenges of the 21st century. Let this center become a beacon of excellence, professionalism, and strategic foresight. May it empower our personnel to see the battlefield more clearly, make more informed decisions, and act more decisively in defense of our nation. On this note, I formally commissioned the GIS Training Center and urge all stakeholders to support its growth and success. May God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our respected guest of honor. At this juncture, you move to the next line of the program, which is the tour of the GIS lab, and that will proceed with taking a photograph, and then you end it with a reception. So I will respectfully urge our guest of honor to lead us as we move to the GIS lab for our tour.